comedy fanboys. That's what's coming up on The Art of Bombing, episode 149.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, 'cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Art of Bombing. I'm Dan Bublich Jr. It is Tuesday, July 21st. It is 7/21/20. I don't know why I'm talking like that. Today on the show, I've got a great guest all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. My guest today is Jayce Michael Hill, fantastic comedian. I've had the pleasure of working with him a couple times at a comedy festival. And he's got we had a great conversation, but I do have to warn you, this conversation was at the very beginning of the pandemic. That means it was filmed back early April, end of March, early April, back in that time frame when things were just kind of starting to get serious. So some of the stuff might come across a little outdated. It was also before I got all my new equipment, so the sound quality might be a little less than what you're used to. So I do apologize for that. But this is the last episode that I have in the bank from those recordings from back then. So everything else that I'll be releasing after this is going to be fairly current, at least within the last couple weeks, So it should be all pretty good there. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see. Today, I can't even talk, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even talk. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm having some technical issues, and I'm not going to stop. Because you know what? I don't care. We're going to keep going. Today, let's see. Do I have anything to promote? I don't really have any shows coming up, although I am looking very early stages of maybe trying to do an outdoor thing and some stuff, but too early to talk about that. Who knows what's going to happen with the world? Am I right? Nobody knows. None of us know. All we know is that every day is a new day, so that's what we got to do. I will say this. Over the weekend, an old friend of mine did pass away, and it was pretty sad. Really got to my emotions, even though we haven't spoke in a lot of years. But every time I ran into this fellow, we always had a great conversation, and it was always great catching up. And very unfortunate that he passed away. And it really did bring up some emotions. I had a good cry yesterday, and it felt good. It felt good to do that and get it out. But rest in peace, buddy. Rest in peace. I'll always cherish the memories that we created together. You always said funny things to me, and it was always a good time. So yeah, thanks for the memories, man, and rest in peace. So all right, that's enough of the little bit of the sadness and getting real and the emotional stuff. You guys probably want a podcast. I will say this. On Friday, I am going to announce the winner of the Sam Talent novel, Running the Light. If you still have time to get registered to win that. You can register for the drawing. In order to register for the drawing, what you need to do is you need to go wherever you listen to this podcast. You need to go leave a 5-star rating and then leave a review. That's with words. You got to have words. That way I know that you were the one that left the review and the rating in the review. And then you'll get registered to win. And then I'm going to draw Thursday night, and then on Friday I'm going to announce the winner. And then that person is going to get a free novel that is signed by Sam Talent. And I'm hoping at some point, I talked to him once about it and a while ago, and we just haven't scheduled anything. But I would hoping to get Sam Talent on the podcast, because he is a fantastic comedian. If you haven't done so already, look him up, samtalent.com. And you can also buy his book there if you don't want to try to win it from me. Either way, you're doing something good for an independent artist, and that's cool. That's cool. All right, that's enough jibber-jabber from this guy today. Let's get into this episode. Here's my great conversation, beginning of the pandemic, with Jayce Michael Hill. Enjoy. Yeah. Yep. I live in St. Paul, Twin Cities. Yep. So.
Oh, so you hang around Matt a lot.
Been good. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, we don't hang out a ton just because he's busy. We've both been pretty busy with houses.
Oh yeah, I know. He's had like a chronicle of stuff happen there. He's been like a bunch of renovations and whatnot. Oh man, I'm not jealous, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've been doing a little bit of some projects too myself. So.
Yeah.
Home ownership, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, okay, I look pretty good there. Do you? Well, see, the problem is I've been upgrading all my equipment slowly, and I'm so white that all the lights just make me look like a ghost.
See, that's why I got the overhead. See, you got to do the lighting, Dan. It's important.
I do have lighting overhead. I mean, I could.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see if that. Yeah, see, that doesn't help. I'm just too white.
Hey,
I'm a ghost. Oh, that's funny. So, have you did any live shows, virtual shows?
I almost did, but I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just can't. Well, one of them I almost I was like on the list, and then I got like a last minute editing job, and I was like, you know what, I'll go earn some money real quick because this,
Yeah.
Yep. So I did that instead, but no, I haven't done them yet. I don't know if I believe in them. I'm not gonna lie, just because you gotta have the audience there. I don't know. I also do improv, and I just can't imagine doing any kind of show.
Yeah, that's one thing I couldn't imagine doing improv. I mean, just because you really need to have the energy of the other people, and to be able to kind of work off of each. It's hard to like capture that remotely. Yeah,
I think it's this is probably a good time to like write a bunch, and not just stand up, but just write everything. So I've been at work doing a bunch of short films and short stories and here and there. Maybe that'll translate to stand up at some point. I just can't. I don't know. I'll probably change my tune in like a week when I'm just absolutely sick of it and have to go do some kind of show. So,
I don't blame you. I mean, I've been playing around with them, and I've been doing some of them myself, producing them, but I haven't really been doing comedy shows. The ones that I've been producing, I've been doing a storytelling show, so it's like it can be funny, but it doesn't have to be.
Some of those translate though, yeah.
Well, exactly, and that's kind of why it's seemed to be working so far. So that's good in that respect, I guess. But yeah, as far as like actual stand up, I mean, I had some fun and did some like open mics, but it still wasn't the same as stand up. It was more like just messing around.
Yeah, there's something about like I'm going to sound so cheesy. This is going to suck. But like something about being on the stage and like, having your little mental blocking on the stage, if you know what I mean. There's like footwork involved with stand up. I don't think people think about that sometimes. But yeah, you can't really do that on like a Zoom. I'm being so down on it, and then like I said, I'll do like one show and be like, this show should be done in the future. So we'll see.
Well, I did it, and they've been okay, but I don't think this is how I'm afraid that a lot of shows are going to start being this way. That's what I'm afraid. And I'm like, no, we don't. No. Yeah, exactly. I hope not.
The smell of the stage.
For now, you got to. Yeah, exactly. For now, we got to adapt, I guess, if you want to work on material.
Yeah,
that's what it is. But you've been doing like, filmmaking stuff, so like editing and stuff.
Yeah. So the stuff that makes me money is really boring, so I won't go into that. It's a lot of corporate stuff, a lot of talking heads. But
okay. But like editing and stuff, it's still video production.
Yeah, it's still. It's nice. It's nice to have a remote skill. To be honest with you, somewhat marketable. But yeah, we just finished a short film. Last or 2 weeks ago. I'll send it to you if you want to like throw it out there. It was a lot of fun. But I'm just writing a bunch more of those now, and I'm going to try to film a few while we're in quarantine just to have a little art project to work on. and that'll be fun. Trying to do something that's productive while we're locked down.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I've been trying a bunch to be productive. Actually, I'm not trying. I have been really productive. I've been doing more writing and I started other like online shows. Like I said, they're not stand-up comedy, but they're comedy adjacent. And like I did a spin-off of this podcast that I've been but as a live stream, I guess, not really a podcast, but I've been doing a live thing as a spin-off with this. So yeah, definitely keeping busy.
That's good. No, that's good. If you're not busy, then you're boring. You know, I don't know.
Pretty much.
So how was the festival this year?
It was great. Sorry, I had to think about which festival. It was great. We did really good. All the shows were pretty well packed, and the headliner did great, and his show was sold out, and we made money for the Special Olympics. So all in all, it was a pretty good success.
God, man, at least the one I went to was like still the highlight of all this. It's so much fun.
Oh, nice.
So you guys do a great job.
Good. I like hearing that.
Yeah. I know. Andy and Alan and I still talk. I think we keep trying to convince the others to go to their city, and it's just never really worked out. It will at one point, but yeah. Yeah,
eventually somebody will get smart. You're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. We're gonna be It's politically it's been crazy. You work in politics, right?
No.
Oh, you don't? No. I thought you did for some reason. I think I've listened to a podcast and that you guys had similar voices. No, but yeah, politically here it's been crazy. Yeah, there was, they just like they're allowing people to go back to restaurants and whatnot now. So we'll see how that plans out. But
it's gonna be crazy stuff.
Atlanta's nuts. So
it is. Yeah. We were thinking about moving to Atlanta, and then we ended up here. So it's still a possibility down the road. How that'll, because this is actually just a temporary thing for us right now, just kind of a stepping stone, and then we're gonna probably try to move south somewhere.
Like in the south or anywhere south, like southwest.
Well, depends on her job, because she works. My fiance works for the federal government, and they have regional offices in most of the major cities. So like there's a regional office in Atlanta, and then they'll have like field offices in like surrounding areas, that kind of thing. So just kind of depends on what's available for her department for jobs in different areas of the country.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, the South is nice. It's the weather's great here. It's a little bit better than what you guys have. Oh my gosh, that still gives me nightmares. Yeah. Did I tell you I drove across the state?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah. I mean, because I was like, all right, listen, if I'm going to go to South Dakota, I'm going to see South Dakota, and I guess what that really meant was Sioux Falls and Rapid City.
Yep.
And to get there, it's just a whole lot of South Dakota. So I went over there after that. It is. It's crazy. I mean, that's basically I went from Sioux Falls. That's right. I went to Sioux Falls, then to Valentine, Nebraska, right after the festival, and then over to Rapid City, and then to Devil's Tower in Wyoming, and then did one straight shot through the whole city in one go. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun, though. It's a cool state.
Back to Sioux Falls to fly out of?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you stayed.
Yeah, I did. Awesome. Well, I was only there. I would have hit you guys up, but I was there for I got in at 11 p.m. and then the plane left at 7 a.m. So it was I don't want to bother you guys. There's nothing comedy related going on, so I just kind of skip out. But yeah, it was a cool 2 weeks, man. I mean, I spent a long time up in that area, so yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I guess I didn't know that. That's cool. It's cool when you can go do comedy and then also use it as an excuse to do a little vacation too and do some sightseeing and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean it was an adventure. I mean, it's a big country. I like to see any part of it. I didn't think I would ever see South Dakota or parts of Wyoming, so I fit it in, of course. And then I saw Mount Rushmore, and I was so underwhelmed. It was such a bummer. I mean,
I feel like that happens a lot
Yeah.
to people.
but the what was
it
the
like it's hyped up so much.
but Crazy Horse was cool. That was when I'm like we
Yeah,
saw that one
yep.
first. I was like, that's amazing. And then I saw Mount Rushmore, and I'm like, yeah, let's just go to the gift shop. I don't know. It was all right. Wasn't a big deal to me. But
that seems about right.
yeah, but you guys have like, I mean, I know you're in Minneapolis now, or not Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Close enough. St. Paul, Minneapolis is pretty much the same. Like we're the Twin Cities. So
I don't know. I mean, I see pictures of it, and they're like, look, there's two cities. I'm like, just call it the same city. Why? Why are you doing that to yourselves? What's the point?
Right. I think it's a long history of people. It's like a pride, like a local pride. Like people are proud to be from St. Paul versus Minneapolis, vice versa.
I just tell everyone from St. Paul that I personally will just say that they're from Minneapolis. I'll get into fights.
A lot of times when it's funny. Well, a lot of times when people ask where I'm from, I just say Minneapolis because I know they're probably going to know. I'll either say the Twin Cities, and if they're like, "What's that?" I'll be like, "Well, Minneapolis, St. Paul," or
That happens with so many.
Or I'll just save it and just say Minneapolis.
I'm sorry about this. Is my hold on. Hey, stop whining! You're ruining the podcast.
Oh, look at that! Oh, we got
He's a little pup.
It's not the first pup that has been heard on this podcast.
Well, remotely, I think that's just going to happen,
Oh, it is. Absolutely. It's funny. I was doing one episode, and I had just got a little puppy, and he disappeared. And I was like on the phone doing the podcast, and I was walking around my house looking for my dog.
Man, it was funny because he'll usually kind of hang out in the yard around this time of day. He'll get dinner and you'll hang out for a couple hours. And then I was thinking, man, like if I hear him, bark or something like that, then I'm gonna have to get up and do all that. So I just brought him in for this. But now he's whining, so we're not going to win anyway. We're just sort of done. Whatever.
That's all right. Making the podcast debut.
There it is. Yeah, I think this is my first comedy related podcast that I've been on. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
the
you.
first one for you is going to be talking about the whole comedy.
Yeah.
A good lead into what the podcast is, and that is The Art of Bombing. And I would love to hear a story of a show that you felt was really bad, or that you felt like you bombed really bad.
So it's actually at Snow Jam. This was the story, because it wasn't the show. It was the first night open mic. So there's a show, and then after that show, there's the open mic. And I had just met Andy and Alan. You have 2 episodes with both of them, so people can go and research them. But it was like the first time I met them, and it was rowdy. I mean, they're 2 rowdy guys. They're a lot of fun. And then you guys had a keg that was free for the comics.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like high gravity IPA, like good stuff. Yeah, and I was watching the first show, and I was just me with a few other comics were just drinking beer after beer, and then Timmy Williams shows up, and Timmy is like, I'm a huge fan of Timmy's. When I first met him, I was like, I'm a big fan of you, and he's like, okay, chill out, man, and he's hosting that open mic, and I'm feeling rowdy. I've had like 4 of these free high gravity IPAs you so graciously gave us, and then I just have a bunch of new material I was going to try out at an open mic and got way too confident. I get up stage, and in the first 2 rows, there's this couple that are just hardcore making out. And I'm trying to comment on it and open with that and just comment on what's going on. And they're still making out. No one's reacting to it. And it's just a bomb that I felt in my core. And then also Timmy Williams is there, who I really, grew to like when I was like a teenager, is just watching going like, what the hell is this person? It was pretty damaging. I think that night I got to my hotel room, just went to sleep, the next morning I was like, I cannot have this moment on an actual showcase, and just collected myself and listened to a bunch of old tapes and just got myself, I think, to a good point. At that time, I was already feeling a little bit of an imposter syndrome. Like, dude, I don't belong here at all. I don't, and then bombing. So that next morning, I think I spent a few hours just meditating and getting myself into a good mindset for the rest of it. Had a great time after that, but the lead up to it was pretty bad.
Yeah, that it always sucks when you like, whether it's a comic that you look up to or just other comics, like bombing in front of other comics, because like whether a person admits it or not, there's always that thought in the back of your head where you just want to impress the comics because they're your peers essentially, so you're trying to impress them, and when you bomb, then it's just like, it's the worst. But then it's even worse when it's somebody you really look up to.
Yeah, and I mean, it was cool. He saw me do a set later in the festival and actually pulled me aside and commented on how good that was, and I was like, oh, that's super nice to hear. That definitely helped for sure.
Thank God.
I know. But that first night I was just like, should I just go home? What am I doing here? Oh my God. No, he's
that's funny.
Yeah. I mean, there's been other bad ones too, but I think that one was the worst just because you're right. It's like, it's somebody that you want to see you do well, and instead they didn't see you do well. Exactly the opposite. But you're right. I mean, that's one of the things too, is I think I'm hopefully at a point, I'd like to think I'm at a point where I could experiment, and if comics I like see me and I don't do well, I can just sort of shake it off. I mean, that's the hope,
Yeah.
Because if you're not experimenting all the time, then, what you just recited.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's kind of what open mics are for anyway. Like, I've grown to the point where if I don't do well at an open mic, I don't necessarily feel like I bombed. Like, it still sucks. I can't say that it doesn't affect me at all or bother me at all. But most of the time I'm just like, well, this is what I'm trying to do something objectively. It's not, I'm here to do something. Now, if I'm being paid to do a show or whatever, and then I do terrible and I bomb, then I'm like, well, that was a bomb.
I think luckily
I was supposed to be good.
Luckily, I've never been paid and bombed. That's good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I think so.
And bad.
Well, I've been
because it almost insinuates that you haven't been paid. Oh, okay. I was like, you better clarify that, because I'm like, well, that's good, but also maybe bad. Maybe.
I can hear that pause, and you're just like, yeah, that checks out. I think that's right. Yeah, never been paid for it. I get it. Yeah, first podcast, sure. Yeah, all this lines up. All this adds up. Why did we have you on that festival? That makes no sense. You bombed that first fucking show. Timmy talks about it all the time.
It's like, we can't have this person back again. Jesus, Louise. That was actually you guys did my show, That's Debatable, and that was like one of my favorite debatable shows.
Do I have it?
We did one other one that was really good prior to that, or after that, I mean, post that show, but that's right there, like in the top two. And actually, both of the debatable shows that have went, he still got the wig. Oh, that's so funny. That was great, because I loved how much effort you guys put into it. The last debatable show that I did live was pretty good too, because they put a lot of effort into it as well, which was pretty good.
The funny thing is, I think like Andy and I had gotten together. And Alan and Gabe were doing. They did Aquaman versus what was the other one? Aquaman versus the Marvel version of Aquaman. And nobody knew who that was, and they played it so well.
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh man.
I know. I can't. Well, it's perfect because it's somebody that's so unrecognizable.
It's Namor.
There it is. Namor.
Yeah. Well, it's like Namor or something like that. It's like a weird. Yeah. I just had to think about it for a minute. I'm a comic book guy.
I mean, I remember just being like, yeah, I vaguely know that character, but it's the Marvel Aquaman. And the funny thing is, I mean, they played it off so well. And I think they went right before Andy and I, and we were both like, okay, this is going to work, because our whole plan in the beginning, we were like, you know what, is if maybe the audience might not react to something that's supposed to be a debate, but we made it about, like, I guess if you're listening to this, you know, we were Twitter and Facebook, and Andy ended up being an old man. And he did that with flour and a wig. And then I had this wig playing a millennial, his grandson. And, God, I mean, there was this moment of it where he had written this letter to me, and he said, like, you're not allowed to read this until you're on stage. And reading it was just so brutal. It was so freaking funny. It was just, it cut deep. No, that was a really, really fun show. I think that, God, it was a good one. It was a great show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like one of my all-time favorite shows.
Well, we got
debatable.
I think at least Alan and I got 4 shows out of it. I mean, I don't count the open mic, but 4 shows outside of the open mic. We did That's Debatable. We had our own stand-up showcase. Then we did the sketch, and then a long form with Ken McDonald. So it was one of the best weekends. Yeah. God.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome weekend.
It was, yeah.
Now the bumming of bombing, how long does that typically last for you?
It's gotten
dreadful feeling after you bomb.
It's gotten shorter, I think, as it goes. I think that's how it works, right? I don't know. Is that with you too? Mm-hmm. Like when you first start that first bomb?
Like it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that first bomb I had. I mean, I started in Tallahassee. The very first bomb, I honestly was just like, oh, I'm not cut out for this, I guess. I guess I'm just done. You know, I didn't know that, you know, that happens regularly.
Right.
Very regularly.
For the most part, yeah, it's easier to shake off, but I will tell you, there are some shows that I bomb so hard they still haunt me.
Yeah, well, I won't go back into the bomb again, but it still haunts me to this day. I'm so glad I was able to recover from it. But,
right, good thing it was just an open mic. But then also, that was like, it was super late. Also, isn't that the one that was really weird too? Was that the one with the frog masks? And I think it was. Like, it was just a weird open mic.
I didn't help.
I remember right. That's the one. I don't know. There's some of those late night open mics get so weird.
Yeah, I remember it was like 11:30 when it started, and then it was really late.
Yeah.
And then, I hope that enough people had a bunch of those IPs that they don't remember it either. You know?
Yeah, I remember it being a weird open mic.
Yeah, it was what it was. Now, I mean, I've had other bombs in Atlanta, but I mean, it's like you said, it's you know, you can bomb at an open mic, or you can bomb at like a really not populated show and just be like, all right, whatever, you know. But when it's in front of other people, you know.
Yeah. How do you break down and analyze a bad set to try to, and what do you try to take away from it to improve?
That's such a good question, and it's like it's highlighting this huge weakness, because I try to forget it. I don't even try to analyze it. I think I try to analyze. I really do. I think I try to analyze what works, and then you just go from there. I don't think. Yeah, that I would be a very unhealthy person.
Kind of. Yeah, hey, that's you're in comedy, so it seems fitting.
You're brutal, man.
I know, right? I told you this is the sad podcast. This is where we're talking about the brutalness in comedy. Now, I've got some other stuff that you're actually my guinea pig. I'm doing some other trying to mix up some standard questions in here. So I got some new stuff that I'm trying out. So the first one is what is your writing process?
Damn it. I'm still working on that. I don't know. I've tried so many different things. I think the one thing that I've always just done, because I want to be more organized. I even printed out like premises yesterday and was like, I'm going to stick to this and stick on my typewriter. But no, I think what I do is I think of something funny. I write like 4 bullet points and I try it on stage. And I just do that over and over until something happens, which is long and you get a lot of bombs out of it. But when it works, it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you find your spot too. There's a couple spots in Atlanta that I'm like, I know I can experiment over here and just perform on stage and find out if these bullet points work. and these are my spots to do it. These are the ones that, can react well to it. There's also points where when you try that kind of method, and I know a lot of comics that do that. If you're in a completely dead room and they're just not down to laugh, then it just doesn't work. You're just never going to get a reaction, or you're never going to get the feel that you need. So it's important. And if you're going to write on stage, find rooms that work. And hold on. Hey, stop doing it. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I totally know you there, because that's kind of what I do. I write on stage as well. I don't even usually take notes. I've been getting better about that, actually. Since the quarantine, I've been scratching things down and trying to work them out that way. But before, I would just have an idea or a premise, and I go up on stage and say it, and then work it out from there. Now, do you have any, as far as comedy goes, what are your short-term and long-term goals? Do you have any? Are you just still trying to find your voice, find your style?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get better. I want to get to the point where it's just I know how to be funny on stage, which I think, I don't have any long-term goals in terms of really concrete things that I want to do, in terms of clubs or festivals or anything. I think I apply to them, and if I get them, great. If I don't, it's fine. But really, it's like I got into improv after I started doing stand-up, and I realized something with improv is it has nothing to do it's everything to do with just being able to perform and being able to react to an audience and engage with them. And so that's now my goal in stand-up. It's how can I be on stage and you can give me anything and be funny? That's the main goal. And then I can start thinking about things like where I want to move, or, big, long career goals and stuff like that. I know that's a very vague answer. I hope that's good, though.
Oh, no, that's good. So you said that you started improv after stand-up. So you were doing stand-up, and then you decided to do improv. And do you do quite a bit of improv now?
Yeah, we had a weekly show going on that was actually getting a lot of. We were at Relapse Theater, and then Relapse Theater closed down in October, so we've just been rehearsing ever since, and then doing a few leagues. Improv leagues in Atlanta, putting together little ragtag teams. So I've been performing very regularly with improv. It's I'll say this. If there was a podcast about art of bombing for improvisers, it's far more brutal, I think, than bombing as a stand-up, for sure. Mainly because there's. I think that. Oh yeah, there's been paid shows where you're like, well, it's a good thing that scene didn't work out, and we have 8 more scenes to do because yikes. When you're bombing with other people, there's nothing worse,
Oh yeah, and the thing that I find that sucks with that, because I dabble a little bit in improv. I don't perform, I guess. I wouldn't say I'm not an improv performer, but I take some classes just because I feel like it helps me with stand up. But bad improv is fucking terrible. It is the worst thing. It is. Yeah. It's more uncomfortable than watching somebody bomb at an open mic, that's for sure. And the worst part is it only takes one bad person on the group to be bad for the whole team to be kind of dragged down, Because there's a lot of elements that go in. You got to have chemistry with people and trust and be able to work off of each other. There's all the stuff that kind of goes into it. If you don't have that as a group, whew.
Well, it's improv can be like a true meritocracy in that you're never going to be able to talk your way into the main stage, because if you're a really nice person and you're the nicest person in the world, and you just don't have it, no one's going to want to work with you, because I'm on stage with you. You better bring me something. You better react well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do love that, because there's a level of politics in stand up that can be kind of annoying, but yeah, in improv, there's just absolutely no question. You just cannot get away with it. You're either good or you're not. You either react well in front of a crowd or you'll be sitting in the back,
I'm the latter.
You're what?
Not. I said I'm the latter, the not.
Well, it just
good at improv, but
I find that improv is a muscle that you constantly have to do. You have to be rehearsing once a week to stay in that rhythm. And stand up, it's you could always just change. You could always change the way you do stand up. It's bizarre. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and for me, like I said, I'm not doing improv and thinking like, oh, I want to go perform improv and do improv shows. For me, it's another skill to use in stand up. That's how I look at it. And it's good for writing too. Like that's the other thing, to help get the creative juices flowing.
It's funny, we do a show here. If you're ever in Atlanta and the time works out, we have a show called Filibusters, which is improvised stand up. And it's quite challenging.
I'm sure it is. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Have you ever seen Setlist?
Hey, I got a show. I have a show where you can come and bomb on.
But you know what? Like honestly, with that show, it's
like
great because it's such a trap. It's such a trap. But come, Dan, come, please. No, it's fun because you could go on the show, and if you do bomb, the audience is totally cool with it because they see that you're making the stuff up on the spot. All we have is like a giant notepad, and then you get like 3 topics that you don't get to see ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they're
like you said. Oh, no, go ahead.
You went out just for a second. Yeah, no, you just get 3 topics and then you just have to make it up on the spot. But the audience, like, if you're really struggling, they're like, come on, man, you can do this. Come on, go for it. Instead of like,
they want you to win.
Yeah, but when you win on that show, you win hard because they're so excited and they're just impressed that you can do something on the fly like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, shows like that are pretty fun. Like I said, for me, it's more about, I found that, and I don't know, you started doing stand-up first. Maybe you can kind of attest to this. I feel like doing what little bit of improv training that I've done, it has helped me as a stand-up in the sense that it gives me more stage presence. I'm more confident on stage. I'm more, before I started doing improv or taking improv classes, I was very tight on stage, very scripted. And now, since then, I'm a lot looser. Like I have what I'm going to say, I have my jokes, but if I don't, do crowd work or whatever, it's not a big of a deal now.
Well, I think the one thing that it really helps with, and you're probably noticing this as well, when you say loose, you're probably taking more of the stage as well, because there's like a balance between the rhythm of a joke from the front of the stage and from the back of it. If that makes sense. So I think like a lot of stand-ups will here and then maybe here. But after you take a few improv classes, you're like, I can go to the edge of the stage. I can go to the full right. And it doesn't even, it's not like you're jumping around. It's just a natural rhythm of storytelling and how you would present yourself. So, I totally agree. I think that there's a lot of things that improv can do that can help you in stand-up. But I got into improv because Rory Scovel did a whole 5 days of improvised stand-up with absolutely no material, no prompts or anything. And I was like, I should do some improv because this guy is crushing it. I mean, you look at that kind of thing and you're like, what am I doing? But no, it's a great skill to learn. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, Rory's amazing. He's one of them comics that
yeah.
I'm just like, wow. Yeah, it's he's good.
The nicest guy too. I mean, he would come around Atlanta like all the time, and yeah, super super nice guy. Was never, you meet some of these big guys, and then they're just sort of like stuck up, and he was just nice and conversationalist.
He seems like it. Yeah. I started listening to his podcast within the
last
couple months, and Yep, Pen Pals. Yep, and he definitely seems like he's very personable and everything. So I think that's kind of cool. He actually just in a show that I watch a lot. He's been in doing a guest role in Superstore.
It's funny. My mom sent me a text message of a picture of him on that show. It was just like, hey, it's Rory, because she saw him live at one point. And I didn't know what the show was called, so I got to check that show out. Yeah, I know. We got my mom into Rory Scovel. The Superstore.
That's awesome.
I know.
That's a good comic to be into. He like his special that he did in Atlanta.
That's the theater. That's Relapse.
Yeah. Do you know Max Fine?
Yes, he moved away. Yeah, right when I moved in. But I know that he did. Didn't he do the festival the year before I was there or something?
Yeah, he was there the very first year. Yeah, he did the first year. Yeah, but that special that Rory did there's a clip of Max sitting in the front row. Because a bunch of comics were there watching, and they were in the front row. And there's like a pan to the crowd. He's right there. It's pretty funny.
I know he did a. Rory
that was a great special. I laughed so hard.
It's one of the best ones of that decade, I think. I mean, it's just so it's so different. It's a very different special than your normal thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Which that can go either way. It can be good or bad. In his case, it was really good.
Yeah, the crowd was electric too. It sounds like,
Yeah, he had a joke, a joke about suicide and erotica asphyxiation that's the best suicide joke I've ever heard.
Well,
which is sad to say, but I laughed so hard at that joke. Like, I just lost my shit. I was literally rolling around on the floor laughing so hard at that.
I mean, it was cool because that special came out right when I moved here and was like really getting into relapses within the theater and just enjoying that space. And then a special comes out and I'm like, wow, this place is really cool. So yeah, it's neat. Yeah, and it's a real like, I mean, frankly, it's kind of a rundown, theater, but that's sort of the beauty of it. It's just sort of derelict, and you wouldn't really know there's a comedy theater there, and there is. It's just this. And so for him to do a special there was like really cool because there's like you could do it at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, you could do it at the Tabernacle, like these big arenas, and he instead chooses like the little community theater spot, and that's where he does it. It's neat. I thought that was cool.
That's really cool. Well, that just kind of goes back to the kind of person he probably is, being personable and very down to earth, which is good. It's good to see comics who make it still be grounded somewhat.
And nice. Nice people.
Yeah, and nice. Well, especially nice. Yeah, that's a really important thing. Now, you said that theater is no longer, it's closed now?
Yeah.
You said it closed in October?
Closed in October, so.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But this is that's actually talking about that venue is a good lead into this next question, which is, what is your favorite venue that you've performed at so far?
Yeah, that has to be Relapse. I'll just stick with that.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Oh, well, yeah. Oh, no, that works.
Yeah,
I had a feeling it kind of, because you've been talking about it quite a bit.
That's where we had our weekly improv show. That's where, I hosted the open mic there. That's where we originally had the filibuster show. If I'm going to do if I could do a shout out, Dynamic Eldorado in Atlanta right now is awesome. It's another DIY theater and, putting on some awesome improv shows and awesome stand-up shows. So if you're in Atlanta, I would check that out. Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of good spots in Atlanta, but that DIY mentality is something I love. I just absolutely drawn to it.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of the same. I do a lot of my own, producing my own stuff. So I'm all about that. Do it yourself.
It's art, man.
It is hard. Well, yeah, it is, because there's just certain things. Like, I'm thinking about doing a comedy album, and I've attempted to record before. And I have recorded. I just never released them. Didn't like how they turned out. But, I've been thinking about, should I approach a label or do it myself again? But then there's definitely benefits to having a label behind you versus doing it yourself, because a label is going to be able to get you on airtime on, Sirius FM radio versus being independent. You don't have those opportunities necessarily. So, but then at the same time, you don't have no middleman. You get all the profits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pros and cons.
What did Alan do? Alan had a tape. Where I think I have that somewhere. But he had a tape with a download code and everything. Yep. Yeah. That's a creative way to do it.
Well, he actually started his own label too.
He did? Shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, I did hear about that. That's right. He made a post about that.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope he hits it big.
he is. He he performed in my basement. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, speaking of DIY, we have a
show.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did. He did he had like a show that he was on tour with, and we did a show in my basement.
That's awesome. Yeah, we I built a little theater in my basement in this place. So if he ever comes down to Atlanta, we'll have him. That'd be cool.
That's actually, it's funny because I'm doing the same thing in my basement. Actually,
hey, if you have a basement,
I'm getting ready to order. Yep.
Well,
right?
I think I want to get like at least, if you can get at least like 10 people down, you have a show, right? 10 audience members. That's good
absolutely.
enough, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's small enough, like you get into them small spaces like that, and it doesn't take a lot of people to make it to fill full,
Yeah.
So, yeah. What's your best show or gig that you've ever had so far, or a favorite?
I would say one of the best shows I've ever had, where I just felt like the audience was just on fire, was an improv show, and it was the last night of Relapse, and Rory Scovel performed the last night of Relapse as well. So we opened for him in a way, but not really.
Nice.
But so we did like an hour and a half of improv, short form, and it just felt like we were murdering the house. It was so much fun. And then I would say with stand-up, there's a show here called Highland Inn, One Up Comedy. And I did like 12 minutes there once, and just in front of like 200 people. It felt super good. Just one of those shows where you just felt like everything you did was good. But I'd say those two.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then the last question that I ask is, what is your proudest achievement in life thus far? And that can be either personal or professional.
Proudest achievement in life so far. That's
Ooh, I know.
It's a really, really hard question.
It's like, because I'm an overachiever.
I've achieved everything. No,
everything I've done has been great.
Pretty much. What can I say? I'm a genius. No, I'm kidding. No, I guess I would say this. It's like I'm happy I'm at a point where I just know that I need to improve. Like I'm good at improving on things now. So that's a good achievement. I don't know. I mean,
self-aware. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You become, slowly become self-aware. And I'm thinking pretty happy about that. No, I think
that's a very good skill to have.
I hope in comedy it's good. I don't know. No, I think it was funny. I mean, like, when I moved to Atlanta, I did have these like small goals of like, all right, I want to get booked on a show. I want to get paid for a show. I want to get to a festival. And then those things happen within a couple of years, within 3 years of doing comedy, seriously. So those have been, if we're talking comedy, I'm already feeling very happy. And I just want to continue to get better. I mean, I really don't. I think if I want to set my sights on like headlining Carolines, I might get disappointed, and that might not be any fault of my own. So I'm just trying not to concentrate on that kind of thing. Just simply just being happy and being better and being funny, I guess.
No, that's good. That's all. Those are all good things to try to achieve. So now we're going to do something fun. I do have one more question, but this is what's new on the podcast.
Ooh.
I mean, some of those standard questions were new, but this is a new thing. It's called Pick a Number. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick a number through 1 through 20, and then I'm going to ask you the random question.
Okay.
Matches the number you picked. And these are just like fun questions. And I mean, some might be comedy related, some are just fun, silly stuff. So number between 1 and 20 for pick your number.
17.
17. All right. This is a good one. Most embarrassing moment.
In life? Just in general?
Just in general. General. It's just most embarrassing moment.
Huh. Why am I stumped? I feel like I should not be stumped by a very simple question, like the most embarrassed I've ever been.
Right.
Oh, I just want to say as a blanket statement, 7th and 8th grade, I think. But
just the whole
no, just
my whole middle.
Just that. I'll say this. I don't get embarrassed a lot. I think I generally just sort of go, all right, whatever, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely at that point now.
No, my first day of bartending, I'll say that. I've never felt more little in my life. Embarrassed to just be a human. Yeah, I mean, because I really shouldn't have been bartending, frankly, because I've had very little training. And, people are asking me, like, the very first night, I have, like, the biggest crowd I've ever seen. And then people yelling at me, and then people going, it's like, can you make a lemon spritzer? And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then having to just kind of go on my phone and, are you looking on your phone? Yeah, I'm looking at my phone. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And, it was an embarrassing night. I'd say that.
So now you do comedy. Are you looking at your phone? Yeah. It's because of bartending.
Give me a second, please. Yes. I've been looking at my phone this whole interview, looking up questions, man. Looking up answers.
Yeah, you're like, I wonder what questions. I know what a lot of the questions are going to be because I listened to the podcast, but see if I can predict this.
I had a script. I had a script, Dan. Right here. Yeah.
Oh, he knew it. He was ready. He did his research.
I did, yeah.
All right. Where can people find you, Jayce? What's your social and web or anything you want to plug online?
Well, my Instagram's at This Way South, which is a really bad name. I came up with it years ago, and I'm stuck with it. So there we go. This Way South, if you want to follow that.
Change it.
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can change it.
I'm hardly on.
You can change your username.
I mean, I truthfully, I'm like hardly on social media. I know that's like a thing that comedians have to do.
No, so hey, that's good for you then.
Yeah. I mean, I read it too much. That's why I don't post, I think, because I get angry. And then I'm like, don't respond. Don't say anything. But yeah, that's where I'm trying to release some of the short films we're doing on Instagram. So that's where you can find that.
All right.
And that's it. That's all my social media. If you're in Atlanta, check out Filibusters and check out People Garden on Facebook. Like those two pages. That'd be really helpful. That'd be cool. That's what it is.
All right. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me. Good to see you. Brings back too many awesome memories.
The Art of Bombing is a Blitzed Entertainment production. Hosted and produced by Dan Bublitz Jr., The Art of Bombing intro music was written and performed by John Holt. All other music used in this podcast was under the Creative Commons license. If you would like to help The Art of Bombing, you can do so by subscribing, rating, and reviewing our show on whatever podcast application you use to listen to The Art of Bombing. For previous episodes, blogs, and more, visit artofbombingpod.com. Have a great week. And remember, stay safe so you can live to love.